Hello, reporting to you live from my home, featuring a painting that I did in middle school crafts class. Shout out Mr. Owens, you were a real one. Great weekend in Atlanta, was really good. I unfortunately believe, I'm self-diagnosing myself because I don't have health insurance and I refuse to go to the doctors because it's going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to officially diagnose this, but I'm self-diagnosing myself with a chest and back muscle strain aggravated via shoveling. I've already been having pain every now and then when I run on my left boob, but it happened a couple months ago, actually, and I went to the ER because I thought I was having a heart attack because women present differently for heart attacks, fun fact. And it's usually like back pain and jaw and neck pain. And so I'd gone on a run that morning. It'd been a long time since I'd gone on a run, I remember. I even recorded it. I was like, ooh, my chest hurts. I was like, oh, whatever. As the day goes on, I'm in the office at work. My back hurts and my neck starts to hurt. And I was like, there's one thing I remember from BMT is that women present differently with heart attacks. It's not like chest pain and like other stuff. So I went to the ER. They're like, you're good. I literally had a physical prior to that, whatever. Anyway, fast forward a couple months and I go on that run. I went on like a 13-mile run like 2 weeks ago and my chest starts hurting like miles 1.5 to 3. Pushed through it, was fine the rest of the time. Then it happened again. Then I shovel and like my chest hurts, like feels a bit tight when I shovel, and I was like very aware of it because the rate of increase of heart attacks go up when you shovel snow. And it starts to hurt, but I was like, oh, whatever. I'm like, I'm sore, my back hurts, yada, yada, yada. And then I ran this past weekend in Atlanta, and it hurt again, to the point where, like, we stopped running. I just walked the rest of it, and ever since then, I've been in pain. And I can't go to the doctor to get diagnosed, but the internet says it's probably muscle strain. Which unfortunately means at minimum 2 to 3 weeks of rest, which cuts into my marathon training again because it's like 8 weeks out. So I wouldn't really be able to start running until 5 weeks out, which is not worth it. I'm just like constantly just like in states of frustration with running, like the weather and then travel and then my period cramps and then now this freaking spasm strain thing. So I'm just like annoyed. I'm hoping it's a strain and I'm not having a heart attack right now. But whatever. Honestly, whatever has been the mood of the day. It's been a heavy weekend in terms of, weekend was great. Cheering on like friends was fun, and seeing friends and just having that weekend in Atlanta was awesome. And it was warm and it was great, but war has been launched. And I was also like took the bus back and just the station and seeing the state of people there. It's just one of those things where it's like, what does any of this matter? Like, I don't even know how to articulate fully what I'm thinking, but it's just like, what does it matter? It's a lot of nihilism, a lot of existentialism right now. Yeah, I don't know, y'all. But I'm just finding it hard. I think it's times like this when I need to like surround myself with people and art. That's what gets me motivated again, because I fall into this all the time. So I think I just need to go and create and make. But I have this week of rest and being with my thoughts, which sometimes isn't the best. But I did get some work done today, had some meetings. Yeah, just did some stuff. So I do have some busy work this week that don't super require me to think much. And then I have a good amount of gigs this month, which is nice. Hopefully I'll make rent, because that savings is getting low. It's getting scary. So, still good, but it's going much faster than I thought it would. Yeah. I don't know. I'm giving space for being in a down mood and just being like, oh, what's the point? fucking world, man. I don't know. But I'm just gonna spend the evening with my family. Probably like a couple minutes left before they go to bed for work. I'm just gonna read. Started a really good fantasy book, and I think I just want to get my head out of the real world and get my head out of my head. Hopefully tomorrow feels a bit better, and you know, I was excited to work out, but can't because of this alleged strain, so I don't know. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. I think something that was helpful is I was closing out my Notion for February and like looking at the goals and stuff and like my quarter goals and like doing some reflection and, you know, seeing where I was on metrics. That was kind of helpful. That was a little motivating. I think maybe something I'll do is whenever I'm in these moments where motivation is low because belief and hope is low, I can focus on the numbers and just go objective. Because the moment I saw my numbers, I was like I have some metrics for social media platforms that don't really mean much to me, but it's more just to have to be able to push me. I was like, okay, I'm looking at the numbers. I was like, oh, okay, I need to make a LinkedIn post. I need to do this and I need to do that. So I think this will be a good week to kind of just like focus on objective metric stuff that I can detach emotion from. I think that's going to be what my takeaway is. Because anything requiring, like, I wanted to finish my blog, but it's like I don't really see the point of me talking about what I was talking about in the blog right now, in this moment, in this headspace. So maybe it's like, okay, let's just focus on, you know, the metric-based stuff, the objective stuff, the things that I don't need to put, like, emotion and creativity to, which is the admin stuff. Let's do that. So I think that's what I'm going to do this week. We'll see how long this mood holds. I just feel shit. And I hate feeling like this around my family. Because you want to be your best around them, especially when I don't see them that often. So, hopefully it's just today. And what would make me feel better is running. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to take a break from running or something. We'll see if I even can do this race, but it's just so annoying because I did all the planning yesterday. Whatever. Anyway, weird day today, weird emotions, weird feelings, just feeling, yeah, but I know that it's good to sit with all this. I know it's important to feel things. You don't want to spend too much time dwelling in it, but I'm just gonna allow myself the rest of that day. I got 5 hours of work done today, so it was still good. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna read. Reading is always pulling me out of stuff, so we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, here's to hopefully feeling a little better tomorrow. Hey, I'm doing better today. Yesterday was in bed and was like, oh, I should make a video. And I was like, I don't feel like doing anything, and I'm not going to. Okay. It was rough. It's been a rough few days mentally, just in my head. And I had a call with a friend yesterday, and it feels like everyone's feeling it, in my life at least. We're all just not doing great. Not in the sense of like life, but like mentally just terrible. I don't know what's in the air. Well, missiles, not attacking us, but other people on our government-funded money, taxes and shit. So that's like heavy. Like yet again, another thing happening that we're privileged to be shielded from, but we're causing. And the weight of that is real. Especially for people who are in my life, very conscientious people who really care about things and care about making a difference. So it really weighs heavy. And we're all just trying to stay some level of sane in such an insane fucking world. But I was telling my friend, this is proof that we care. You know, like us feeling this way. And that we're not desensitized. And the key is to not get stuck in it. Because that doesn't do anything, right? But I do think it's important to feel. I've been in enough of these periods of life that I know that I need to let myself have the time to feel, because then eventually when I get out of it, I'm like more motivated to like do something. So that was yesterday. I was just shit mood, and I felt terrible because I'm with family, and I just felt terrible not being in a good mood. And it's already Thursday, and I leave on Sunday, and I'm just like, oh, I feel like I just wasted 3 days being in a bad mood. And I isolated myself from my family. I like to isolate in general when I'm in these moods, but you know, today, but my friend yesterday reminded me, it was like, yeah, that's when I especially need to be around people. And it was really nice talking to him. And today, my man called and flipped my mood around. So it's a reminder, and I know this too. It's one of those things where it's like, I know I should be around people at these times. That being around people is always the cure for me, or being creatively inspired. So I think tomorrow will be a little better. Be in a better mood, inshallah. But today, I didn't do much yesterday. I just read books. I was reading a fantasy book. I just needed to be out of my head. Today, I've been on like wealth and saving and investing and couponing TikTok. And I finally started investing my money that's been sitting in my Roth IRA for months. So, did that. And then finally tracked down my 401k from my last job. And began that process of rolling it over to a new account. And came across a video of a woman talking about generational wealth for Black people. And she was like, your homework is calculating your... Oh, am I out of focus? Calculating your net worth. So I did that. Happy to announce I have zero liabilities for now. But I was talking with Mans, and we were talking about taxes and stuff. And I was telling him about a video that I watched, because again, I'm on like investing TikTok. A woman talking about how upfront you can't be thinking like, oh, I need to make $1,000 this week or something. Like, you need to be thinking longer term. And a comment made a point of like, yeah, sometimes that means you have to go into debt in the short term. I'm very grateful that I don't have any debt, but I think it's made me so debt averse. But thinking about what's an investment, right? Like, even my LLC, I haven't made it yet because the money up front that you need to put in is so much money. I was like, I don't know if it's worth it right now to be spending like $1,000 or more. I already spent $1,000 on all my prints. That was an intentional investment. That was meant for it to be evergreen. Like, I have a strategy for using that, but and the same with like buying a new body. Like, I want a second body and a lens, but that is gonna be like $6,000 to $8,000. And so it's like, but I know that I would make that back. I already been told like an opportunity that I wouldn't have was needed for you need 2 bodies for. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, like being comfortable with the risk, but the thing that you can't account for is reality, right? Like, and we're talking about too, like, what's worth your time, right? Like, you know, he was talking about an opportunity where he would make a significant amount of money in just a few minutes. And the adverse, or the opposite of that, would be me doing the shoveling, right? Like, it was 20 hours and I got paid maybe $300. After taxes, it'll be probably $100, $200 in my account. And that wasn't a good use of time, but it was something I already was going to do and all that. And it was going to be good use if I'd done overtime, which was my original plan to do the shoveling, was to shovel for 4 days, and I would have gotten overtime. But reality, something that you can't plan, happened, in which I felt super sore and couldn't do it the second day. And honestly, looking at it now, I'm so glad I didn't, because I have a self-diagnosed muscle strain on my chest and back. And it was already kind of a thing that I think I had, but it definitely got way worse with the shoveling. So in the end of the day, it's a good thing, because it would have probably cost me whatever I would have made that I would have pushed my body for. I probably would have had to pay in a medical bill, if not more. So it's just always like, you can't plan for reality. There's risk and there's strategy, but reality is the unplanned force. So it's like, yeah, I can go, take $8,000 out of my emergency savings. But that's now like 7 months of rent that I don't have to fall back on, which increases significantly the hustle that I would have to put to pay all of that back to make that worth it. And like I would have to make double to put it back in and to pay off, you know what I mean, if that makes sense, to pay off what I buy. So originally we were just like having a conversation about that. But ultimately we're like, yeah, you need to have strategy. Like you need to be thinking of yourself like as a business in every sense of the way. So much to think about. But yeah, I got all the like finance stuff in order. So tomorrow, because like the weekend will probably be shot. So tonight I'm gonna start a new fantasy book. And tomorrow I'm going to work on my website redesign, especially that's kind of urgent because with all the things that I've applied to, my website will be getting a little more traffic from all these applications and I want to update it. So I created a Figma account. We used to use it on my last job. So I can like lay out and kind of really like think through how I want to put the website together, and then it'll just be a matter of uploading and doing everything pretty easy. There's a lot of back-end work I want to do with my photography, like putting in metadata in all of my work, which I'm going to do from now on. And I need to transfer every film photo that I've taken that I usually just download straight to my phone and edit on my phone and upload those into a hard drive so it has a backup, add metadata on that. Go through all my past files and start deleting raw images. There's no reason why I should still have raw image photos from 2018, which I do. From 2018 to 8 years, I've never deleted a raw image. There's just always something to do. It's also, okay, if you are a young person in the field or you're just starting out, do this stuff up front. One thing I'm so grateful for is that I had such a great organization starting out. Like I have a workflow, I have how my files are named and processed. Like thank gosh I did that from the beginning. But I wish I'd gone the extra mile of captioning all my photos and embedding that into the metadata, having all that stuff already ready. So that like if ever I'm like, what was the details from these photos? Right now I just pull from my website. So I've got to go back through and add all of those, which won't be, it'll be tedious, but it won't be hard because I have all of the entirety of the Adobe suite, $60 a month. So I have Bridge, so that'll be pretty easy to embed metadata. And then also like overhaul all of my website images and make sure all of the ones on there have copyright and embedded information in it as well. So it's like, just do that from the beginning. It'll seem extra, but it's so worth it because then you don't have to ever think about it again. But it's just like the list always is so long. So, but you know what's interesting is at my last 2 jobs, honestly at a lot of jobs I've been in, I always end up creating like an operational workflow document that ends up being used like as the foundational part of a team. And as far as I'm aware, it's still being used at 2 of the companies I used to work at, but I need to make one for myself. Like an operational, like everything. Like it's like, okay, when we get images, this is the process, this is this. I think it's good for me to just sit through and think through all of that, but also for archival purposes. You never know. May end up with like a team one day who's managing all my stuff. So like have all of that stuff, and it forces you to really think of yourself as like a business. Yeah, so it's just like never ending things, you know? But it's been so nice to not have to spend money the past few days. That's one thing I like being here. A little reprieve. Even if I don't spend money in New York, there's always the trains. That's like $6 round trip. Which you're like, that's not much. Baby, that shit count. That shit adds up. Temptation's also much higher. So, really appreciate how I've somehow landed on couponing TikTok. Just saw this woman buy $70 worth of stuff at CVS for $10. Shit she was doing, I didn't even know you could do that. I was like, oh, let me get on my back. Oops, accidentally stopped it. Anyway, that was probably a sign for me to get my reading on. Dive into this little fantasy book. I've been waking up around like 9-10 a.m. every day. Not ideal, but I knew that was going to happen with traveling, so. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like I'm getting out of the headspace. So what, that would have been Monday to Thursday? No, not even Monday. Monday was fun. It was Tuesday to Thursday. Excuse me. So tomorrow I think we'll be in a much better position. Much better mental headspace. Anyway. Here's to tomorrow. Hi. Wow, what a day today was. Yes, felt way better. I unfortunately stayed up till like 3 a.m. on my phone. I know. So I slept in, didn't get started till 1-ish. But today I met with my operations team and my logistics team, and my finance team, which is all me, and sat down and organized, because I've been keeping track, thankfully, of every single thing that I've been doing and how long it's been taking me to do every single day since I started 7 weeks ago. Can you believe it's been 7 weeks? But also that's 2 months of, wow, yeah, I guess. So I've been keeping track of everything, like how many minutes I spent sending emails, yada yada. And I learned that from my last job. But I was like, okay, I need to make some type of report. Like, I kept it all in one notes sheet. I was like, I need to actually do something with this. So I, from scratch, went into my Google Sheets and made like a breakdown of everything. And I also created categories of tasks and categories of projects. So for example, examples of some tasks are applying, booking, coordinating, editing, like verbs, I guess, like action, like what is a task that you did. And then projects would be like business admin, community building, because I don't like the word networking, so community building, education, finance, photography, general, production, side hustle, social media. So kind of having them in like different boxes. So I created drop downs for those, had it like organize how many hours I've worked each day and calculate how much it equal to each week and how much it equal to each month and how much it equals to each, I guess, overall. Then my biggest thing that I wanted to do was like, great, I have all this data listed out, but like, how am I going to look at this in a way that's going to actually be helpful for me to use and analyze? So I figured out how to make the pie chart, and I have it overall, and I also have it broken down by each month. So, and it's broken down into the task and the project. So I got to see, for example, that I've been spending a lot of time applying to things, and I've been spending a lot of time in the communications project, specifically with emails, and what each month looked like, and like what were my top 5 things that I worked on and spent time on, and my lowest things, and yada yada. And so that's so fun to have that data. So I spent the past 4 hours working on that, and also I've decided I want to make because I have like a strategy in mind, like how I'm approaching the year, but I actually really want to sit down, and write that down. So I want to make like an overall business strategy for the year, like a whole report or not a report, but deck. Like, what are the objectives? What are the goals? What are the metrics we want to reach? What's the objective data we want to reach? What are the things we want to have? Which I already have listed out in my Notions. It's just a matter of putting it all in one space to reference. And then from there, I want to make, at the end of March, a Q1 status report. So like using the data that I just collected and put my time spent. Where is my time being spent? Does it align with the larger objective and strategies? What does the social media department have to say? What does the finance department have to say? What does the marketing department have to say? What does the HR department have to say? Like, all these things, even though it's all just me. I think that's really important to tap into and really important to like dive into the business of stuff. So that was really fun to do, honestly. I was a little overwhelmed initially. And usually I would just like spend hours, like past me would spend hours like looking up examples, but I was just like, just dive in, just make something and I'll make it look pretty later, and it actually looks really good. So I'm very proud of myself for that. It is a little late, so it's 8:30, so I'm gonna go spend some time with family. I feel bad, I was like super locked in, but it's because I started my day so late. But yeah, and then tomorrow, I'm not gonna be working. I get to see my brother who's in college, and then just spend time with family. And then Sunday early, I'm back in the city, flying back out. And then we get started. Oh, something else I also did, oh my god, I forgot about this, is, so I have, like, my current way of working that I've been doing for the past 7 weeks is I have my monthly Notion breakdown, right? Basically, like, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but basically I sit down in December and I plan out every goal I want to reach. Like, what are my goals, personal, business-wise, like, yada, yada. So I decided this year to focus on curriculums and focus on skill building every 3 months as my, like, personal stuff, as well as some other stuff too, like, you know, go to this and go to that, and, like, some bucket list items, right? So that's, like, personal stuff. So personal stuff aside. So I have my goals for the year, and then what I do is I break them down by quarter, and then I break them down from quarter to monthly, and then monthly to weekly, and yada, yada. So I have my breakdown of, like, what I want to achieve each quarter. What's been happening is the past 2 months I've really prioritized applying to stuff, which is great, because that was the primary goal, but other things got kind of pushed out of the way, and the next thing you know, like, you know, life kind of happens. And what I've been doing daily is I sit down, you know, let's say at the end of Monday, and I write down the things that I need to get done tomorrow, keeping in mind, like, deadlines. I reference the month of January and what I have to get done. I'm like, okay, cool, we're going to start working on this stuff tomorrow. And it was working for the most part, but, like, what inevitably happens is that I don't get to finish some stuff each month, and so it rolls over to the next month. So now we're in March, and the core of what I want to get done in March is applying to a bunch of stuff and get my business stuff, foundational stuff settled. So, like, my rate sheet, my website updated, like, all my hard drives backed up, like, all that foundational stuff just, you know, updated, fixed, worked on, everything. So that's like, I have to get this done in March. So I have a reasonable amount, like, my to-do list hasn't rolled over that much for the month, but I was like, how do I more efficiently, like, think through what I need to get done? In an ideal world, I would have exactly what I need to get done every single day mapped out. Like, when do I want to, like, map everything out on my calendar? Like, how are we going to schedule in all these things? Instead of just, like, every night being like, oh, I'll work on this, and then I wake up the next day, I'm like, whatever, right? So I learned about the Google Tasks, which I knew existed, but I didn't know you could schedule it into your calendar. So I went through my Notion of personal and business stuff of what I want to get done in March, which ultimately results into what I want to get done in the quarter, and scheduled everything. Like, scheduled, like, okay, this week we're going to be working on this. Like, let's look at our month holistically. When are we going to be doing this stuff? When are we going to do this stuff? Okay, let's make sense to schedule this here. Makes sense to do this here. Spread things apart, yada, yada. And then you can make deadlines too, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that. So let's say I'm like, okay, I want to release my newsletter. Cool. Like, the deadline, I can start it and say in the middle of March. The deadline will be the end of March, and I can have them both exist on the calendar, which I was like, that's awesome. Then I was like, ooh, what if I, like, planned out my day to the intricacies? So that, like, because what I've learned the past few days, being in such a low mood, is that being able to just objectively look at the things that I have to do helped me. When I had no motivation, I was just like, okay, just do one thing on here, because I already did the work of thinking through all of this back in December, which is the point. The point is to be brainless and mindless, because I can trust the past self of me who did this all December, took the whole month to sit through and think through all of this, knowing that every single thing that I'm working on is working towards the larger goal of the year, of the quarter of the year, and of my 5-year plan that I'm in the middle of, right? That's the whole premise behind this. So seeing myself, like, emotionally just, like, demotivated and everything the past few days, I really recognized, like, it really helps to have these goals and tasks. So what can I do to even be more mindless? Like, to just wake up and, like, and I'm good at ticking stuff off. That is my thing, right? So I scheduled in every single day for this month. I have everything scheduled, like when I'm going to eat, when I'm going to do my running, everything. And I have every task that I need to get done orderly, laid out in a way that makes sense. It's realistic. I gave myself a lot of buffers for each thing. I made sure I color coordinated them. So, like, for example, light blue is anytime I eat. So I made sure that I have 3 light blue chunks every single day to make sure I eat 3 times a day. I also put purple for travel, because a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, is in Brooklyn that I do. And, like, you know, my boyfriend lives out there. So, like, coordinating that. So I have purple of, like, here's an event. It's because I struggle with getting places on time. So I need to start budgeting in, like, buffering in that this is when you need to be leaving and in transit. So I put purple so I can also just see like how much am I traveling and how much of my time is being spent in movement and in transit. And it's just more realistic to plan my day this way. All my running is in green, all like gigs are yellow, and then everything else is red default. So that was really cool to see how it's intimidating, and I wonder, we'll see how it works out. That's the test is this month, is to kind of see how it goes. Yeah, so that's also what I did today. So a very like organizational, logistical day today. So I'm really excited to see how it all goes. I think it's the best that I could have done this week in terms of what I wanted to get done. And I think it sets me up to be in a good place when I go back to New York. Yeah, so that felt really good to get done. The mood is much better. I really need to be I'm trying to figure out my social media consumption. That's really what is the issue. Like, there was no reason for me to be up till 3 yesterday, but I was just scrolling and scrolling. I just hit the extend for another 15 minutes button. So we really need to figure that part out. But I am also like giving grace of the fact that like I just wasn't in a great mental space and I was just kind of laying here. I haven't been outside since Monday. So when I'm back in the city, I usually am not this much on my phone, the way that the screen time probably went up when I was here. So that's something I need to figure out too, because I plan on coming home more often. So I need to figure out how I'm not, like, how to create habits differently when I'm here. Because I tend to be more lax here, aka on my phone. And, like, that's fine to rest a little bit, but if I'm coming here for significant amounts of periods of time or frequencies, I can't be doing that. So anyway, a great job to my team, me, today. And we will test out everything starting next week. That's when I begin the extensive scheduling. So we'll see how it goes. Give it a try. Give it a test run for the month. We'll see. Everything's trial and error. That's okay. So yeah, we will check in tomorrow, hopefully. Hello. I'm literally here reading The African Gaze, Photography, Cinema, and Power by Amy Saul. It's so good. It is 12:20. And my intention was to wake up at 6 a.m. But doesn't look like it's gonna happen. I'm gonna aim for 7. I'm gonna put this book down once I reach the cinema section, which I am one photographer feature away. But flew back this morning and just kind of been diving into this photo book, trying to average 1 photo book a day to get through this, okay, maybe 2, to get through that big pile I have, so I can start checking out books for my next curriculum for the next 2 months. But it's been so cool reading these, and I'm just like taking pictures of each photographer's name and feature just so I can dive into stuff. Just feeling a lot of affirmation of the project that I'm working on. Speaking of, I'm reading this book now called How to Kill a City, and been learning so much. I just love learning. And there's a mention, because it's different case studies on different cities, so it follows Katrina, Detroit, San Francisco, and New York. And there's a mention about Katrina. I remember Katrina happening, but I was a child, so I don't know any of the fallout for it. And I never really dived into it. It never really came up in my life. So reading that is really my first time of like, what the fuck happened there? But there was a couple sentences talking about how FEMA offered a lot of people one-way tickets to places, and so a lot of people moved to Utah and Houston and Atlanta and New York and all over and couldn't come back. And there's no database that's recent that exists of these people who left, so the data isn't really fully there to know how many people left. Like, it wasn't recorded who was handed all the vouchers and stuff. So that brought me to a photo idea that I had that I'm going to kind of flesh out. But so that was really exciting. I also have this idea, and I'm going to work on it this week, if not next week, at some point in this month, to create a Google form for myself, because I often have a lot of ideas, and what will happen is it exists in a voice memo or a notes app, or I feel like I talked about this the other night, whatever, or a like Google Doc sheet where I'll be like brainstorm or idea, and then I won't look at it again because I have so many folders in my Google Docs, I have so many notes in my notes app, and I don't like regularly go visit my voice memo. So like, what if I made a Google form similar to corporate, where in corporate, in our creative in-house design studio, different departments would request using different services of our creative studio. So they could use video or photo or PowerPoint or design or web design, whatever, right? And they would fill out like, what are you looking for? What are the details? Yada, yada. And it would generate on the other side where we would get assigned those project tasks and would have all those details, right? So I was inspired by that, where I was like, what if there was a Google form where whenever I have an idea, I pulled it up and I'm like, okay, you know, what type of project is this? Is it photo, video, visual, like research, whatever? What is the priority level? How excited am I about it? How feasible is it? What stage am I thinking about it at? Is this something that I want to work on in what time range? The next week, the next month, the next whatever? What's the general idea? Do I have any research? Is there screenshots or inspiration that I have? Like, upload those or put any links. Like if it's like a TikTok link or an article I read that spurred the idea, just kind of drop everything in a structured way, like really sit and think about what are the things that I want to be figuring out with this form. And then dedicating a time a week, like once a week, to go through those submissions of what I personally submitted, to be like, okay, what's feasible? What can we work on? How can we fit this in our larger framework? Like, what can we work on now? Is it something that will take this long? Is it something that's gonna need more time? Like, is there yada yada? And I think that can help streamline my ideas into a center space where I can then like kind of prioritize things and actually work on stuff instead of like it falling on the wayside. Like, there's so many ideas that I've had even like at the end of last year and beginning of this year that other stuff come and go, you know? And so it's like the everything, you kind of lose it. Like, I'm like, oh, I did want to do a story about some runners, didn't I? Oh, well, because I haven't been running much, it's not as salient in my head right now. But because I'm reading about, you know, African studio portraiture, I have ideas for that. Because I'm reading about gentrification, I have ideas for that. So it's like, how do I balance my ideas with what's feasible and what's yada, yada, yada. So I'm really excited about that, to build that. And I'm really, like, I'm trying to find ways in which I hate that, I don't hate, but like, I find it interesting and challenging in that a lot of the inspiration I'm taking is from corporate, like in the sense of like, I know how to, you know, communicate via emails, how to schedule my out of office stuff, like logistical things like that, how to schedule in my time, how to organize like workflows and workbooks, how to create decks, pitching an idea, how to do research on a photo project, how to track my time and like what information am I gleaning from that, and now how to streamline my ideas into a creative submission form. And I think it's great. Like, I think it's so cool to learn these tools because it's helping me be organized. But I was inspired by a video that I just watched from Christina, I don't know her last name, but a creator on social media, who was talking about how we're trying to build new worlds, but we're using the methods of capitalism. And it was a great call out video. And it was mainly more aligned with like rest, like we're like overworking ourselves using the same ideas in that sense. So I'm trying to figure out how to not balance, but like how to find harmony of like, what can I give in, like what can I take from capitalism and everything, and like the tools of corporate and the ways of thinking of like wealth, like, you know, there's like how do I use those strategies and tools to favor this larger world that I'm building? And maybe, honestly, maybe it takes in the same way that I want to make like a year business deck. I think it'd be a good idea. I'm going to write this down after I stop recording, to make like a world building idea. Like, what world, like write it all down. Like, what world am I imagining in every single sense of the way, just to like really have more tangible idea. Like, I have different like things that I'm interested in, like how I would want to parent, how I would want to do this, how I would want to, approach education? What would this look like? What would a world without abolition look like, right? I think I need to like write all of that out for myself and like make it like not a manifesto, but like a long existing document for myself to really flesh through ideas. Because the thing is, like, I have a lot of ideas, and I read a lot of books. And I was just thinking that too with the gentrification book, like, or How to Kill a City. I'm like, this knowledge just like exists in my head temporarily, and then it goes away when I read the next book. And some facts stick in the head, but I want to be better at like using that information. So if I see solutions proposed, be better at writing that down. And I think that's how I want to move forward. And I think it could help me to have a whole like working, living, breathing document of like what I'm imagining in every facet of life. Like how do my mornings look like, down to how would I want the world to look like? How would I want time spent? All these things. I think that could be very valuable for me to sit and think that through, because then when you have this larger vision, it's easier to align the things that you're doing in every single day to make sure it works with that, right? So for example, if I'm like, oh, I want this thing, this is the world that I imagine in this facet of my life, that means maybe doing this one thing that I've been doing doesn't align with that, so we're gonna just drop that because it doesn't align with the larger vision, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think of like a more correlation example I could give. Maybe like, okay, this isn't one that I really believe in, I haven't thought this through, but this is an example. What if in one of the ways I want imagination to live and breathe and to not be contained or limited? Therefore, maybe it doesn't make sense for me to make a Google form where I'm kind of like boxing myself into different categories and limiting myself, right? Like maybe I have to think about other things. So using the larger guided vision and imagination and allowing that not to just be like a box, but just like, let's dream our wildest dreams in this, and like also just write down ideas and research that we come up on, so that whatever is in alignment now, or whatever you're doing in everyday life, you can align. It makes sense in my head. I'm not articulating well. I don't think. But anyway, I must go finish this, and then I'm gonna go to bed. And we will now begin our week of diving into my calendar, and it worked really well today. I skipped one thing, but because I took an unexpected nap, so I need to figure out like what my leeway, because I don't really give myself like leeway in the calendars, which isn't good. I just want to push myself for this month. Like I want to go hard this month, and then in the next quarter do better about like having periods of going hard built in each week, instead of like the last month of the quarter is when you go at it. I don't want to do that, because that's not good. A lot of damage can be done to yourself mentally and physically in a month if I'm going hard every day, versus like what I originally had last year. It worked out for a couple of months and then I kind of dropped it. But what I did was I'd have one or two dedicated days where I would go like push myself each week. Like no excuses, like push through it, girl kind of thing. And it worked really well just to have one day of efficiency, which I don't know how I feel about efficiency and productivity and those words, but I didn't really push myself the past 2 months. I did, like I've done everything I needed to do, but like in the beginning, I do believe it's worth pushing yourself even a little more. Even looking at my average hours I spent each week, I'm like, okay, we could have added a couple more time just to get, because there's so much foundational baseline things that I just want established before this quarter ends. I could have probably pushed myself and doubled up on some stuff, and now we're kind of reaping that right now. Not reaping, but like now we're kind of dealing with that right now, where this month is like, we really gotta focus and get everything that's remaining that I wanted to get done, on top of like these new ideas and stuff that keep forming in my head, where I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to also factor those into the schedule. So anyway, all this to say, I'll check back in with you tomorrow, but with you watching next week. And we'll see how the week goes with existing within my calendar that I outlined a few days ago, and seeing if that keeps me on target. But, yeah, actually, I'm just gonna end it there. All right.